41 years old. Of course, there's always every back-to-back.
Didn't look like it.
Every back-to-back for the rest of the season is TBD. I am 41. I got the most minutes in NBA history. Bank it right now, okay? What are we talking about?
It's just you don't look like you're 41 on the court.
But I am. December 30th, 1984, 4:39.
The Los Angeles Lakers locker room just turned into a full-on pressure cooker. And allegedly, LeBron James might have struck the match himself. What started as a feel-good rookie experiment is now spiraling into a real power struggle that could rock the franchise to its core. Front office whispers are getting louder. Conversations keep cutting off mid-sentence.
Everybody wondering what your dad's got.
Yeah, actually, one of my friends called me talking about what I was going to do because they seen my dad, whatever. I didn't see it. He called me. I was like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. So, yeah, I don't really pay attention to that stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot around that I don't pay attention to. So.
And there's one question nobody wants to say out loud. Is this still about basketball? Or has it turned into something way bigger than the court? Because according to multiple reports, if this standoff goes sideways, the Lakers don't just risk losing a player. They risk losing control of the entire direction of the franchise. The Lakers were supposed to be untouchable, a Hollywood monarchy dipped in purple and gold, where nothing truly bad could happen as long as the crown jewel stayed polished, smiling, and camera ready.
A lot of advice I would give them. I would just say, keep the main thing the main thing. Work hard. There's no substitute for hard work. I think hard work and dedication, if you want to be great, gonna pay off. Keep the blinders on. As much as they praise you, it's even triple, quadruple of people trying to bring you down and want to tear you down every single day. So protect.
This was the land of banners, spotlights, and perfectly timed comeback stories. And for years, it didn't even feel like a real basketball team anymore. It felt like a prestige TV series where every problem got quietly edited out before the credits rolled. And at the center of it all stood LeBron James, not just the star, but the executive producer, the face of the franchise, the voice in the room, the gravitational force bending reality around everyone else. Championships, influence, legacy talk, and that constant hum of inevitability made it feel like the Lakers lived above consequences, above accountability, above normal basketball rules. As long as LeBron was there, everything was supposed to work itself out. Then one awkward front office decision drifted into view, and suddenly the smoke alarm started chirping inside a palace that swore it never burned anything.
Well, I don't know where it came from, but at the end of the day, Bronny's his own man, and he has some tough decisions to make.
Yeah.
And when he's ready to make those decisions, he'll let us all know. But as his family, we'll support whatever he does.
What followed wasn't some forgettable debate segment or a passing controversy. This hit a pressure point. It exposed how fragile the whole illusion really was. The second the idea surfaced that the Lakers might need to get serious again, not brand serious, not headline serious, but actual basketball serious, the entire vibe flipped. The suggestion that roster spots should be earned instead of inherited landed like a mic drop in a dead silent room. Criticism started bubbling from every direction, not as hate, but as frustration. A plea for common sense.
Bronny James played last night.
Oh, did he play?
Yeah, he did. He did what he does.
Oh.
Goose eggs.
Now, how does he only get up 2 shots?
Because
you got to go out there and squeeze. Nah, bro, you got to get out there and squeeze. Your dad's not playing right now. There's no Luka. I'm coming in the game.
You would think that
2 shots. He took 2 shots.
Yeah, but your boy Bronny James only took 2 shots.
Come on.
And the argument was simple, even if it sounded almost illegal in Los Angeles. This wasn't rebellion. It was reality knocking loud as hell. If the Lakers were actually serious about winning, then every single roster spot would have to earn its keep on the floor, not in a marketing meeting. This league is not a charity, and banners don't hang themselves because of good vibes, headlines, or famous last names. While fans were told to trust the process, they were watching real contributors get pushed aside while the spotlight followed someone still learning how to survive real NBA minutes. That disconnect became impossible to ignore, and LeBron James didn't respond with a tantrum, a viral quote, or a dramatic press conference meltdown. There was no yelling, no public scolding, no spectacle at all. Instead, it was the move we've seen before, calm energy paired with strategic silence, and that silence screamed louder than any rant ever could. When someone with that much power suddenly stops explaining himself, it usually means the real conversations have shifted behind closed doors, where smiles are polite and pressure is applied quietly. Something cracked.
Last question.
Bronny coming off of the best game as a Laker, then goes to South Bay, goes for 37.
39.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I knew you'd have it.
Everyone could feel it. This wasn't about rotations anymore or development timelines. This was ego, legacy, and control colliding in a space that pretends those things don't exist. Because for someone like LeBron, this isn't just basketball. It's symbolic. It's a living monument to everything he's built over decades. Watching that symbol get questioned, criticized, or even threatened with removal isn't some minor inconvenience. It's personal. This is legacy warfare dressed up as roster management. And conflicts like that don't fade out quietly or get solved with a coach's explanation.
Nah, zero. The motivation to be able to play alongside him every night, that's super motivating. That's what I'm gonna train my body for, every night that I go out there and try to be the best player I can for him, and we're gonna bounce that off one another. But as far as me weighing in on, him and some of my other teammates of how far I go in my career now, it would be literally my decision along with my wife and, two.
Now here's the part everyone tiptoes around, the part that actually fuels the whole fire. Bronny James didn't arrive in the league by storming through the traditional pipeline and forcing teams to notice him. He arrived because the story was too powerful to ignore, because the brand demanded attention, because the narrative carried weight far beyond the box score. The league understood the value of history over patience. And that doesn't make Bronny a villain, not even close. But it does make this situation completely different from every other rookie grinding for relevance. And once basketball decisions collide with legacy branding, things stop being simple fast. Missed games, limited impact, and a stat line that would normally spark a quiet suggestion to stay in school a little longer. In any other timeline, this paints a clear picture. Development first, patience second, pressure last. More reps, more growth, more time to actually turn raw potential into something real. Instead, the clock got fast-forwarded. Not because the game demanded it, but because the dream of a father and son sharing an NBA floor was too tempting to slow down. A once-in-a-lifetime story beat the long-term basketball plan. The result? A developmental project dropped straight onto the biggest stage in sports.
Hope for Bronny's future.
To be happy and find happiness in whatever it is that he does, whether it's whatever it is. I just want him to be happy.
I want him to get to the NBA. I'm not even gonna lie. I want to be on the court with him. I think that'll be an unbelievable moment. He's about to be a junior, so the years, it could get close, but.
Wearing a jersey that guarantees attention no matter what the box score says, performance almost becomes optional when the spotlight is already locked in. And that attention hasn't been kind, even when it's trying to be supportive. Watching Bronny James navigate NBA minutes feels less like natural growth and more like watching someone attempt elite gymnastics without a safety net. There's courage in the effort, no doubt, but chaos keeps sneaking into the execution. Drives end in traffic jams packed with defenders who've been doing this at a high level for years.
Found a video of Bronny James talking to reporters after he was moved back to the G League. I'm not going to say demoted because I don't know if it seems like that or not, but it seems like they still want to give him a chance. They just want him to work on some things, but Bronny James looks defeated in this video. Listen to his voice and look at his face expression at the end.
Defensive rotations get missed so often it starts to feel like a habit instead of a mistake. Any other player struggling like this would quietly get time elsewhere, away from the microscope. But that's not what happens here. Every small success gets blown up into a victory moment, while every mistake gets reframed as a necessary step in the journey. And suddenly, everyone is expected to clap on cue. The result is a warped reality where the game tape is constantly edited in real time to protect the storyline. The defense of this situation always points to flashes, a big night in a lower level setting. One scoring outburst turns into a full celebration tour. Social media explodes, encouragement rains down, and suddenly the doubters are silenced. But context gets left behind. One game does not erase a body of work. Success against lighter competition doesn't automatically mean readiness for the highest level.
Argument that took place the other day on Gil's Arena about are they singling out Bronny? That he's a 55th pick. Well, if he's a 55th pick, why are they posting him on NBA on ESPN? Why? Because they're saying he's not good enough, so why are you guys focusing on a player that's not that good? You bring up a good point. Why are they posting?
At the top, the jump from potential to performance is where careers are decided, and that jump is still unfinished. No serious basketball mind says growth is impossible, but pretending it's already happened, that's where the story breaks. The real issue is this: the NBA is not a learning lab for players who aren't ready yet. This league is ruthless by design. Point guards are expected to read defenses in real time, bend space, control tempo, and create advantages on command, not figure it out on the fly. A big part of the audience wants Bronny James off the floor. Not because they enjoy tearing down a young player, but because they actually respect the sport and care about fairness. They know there are players grinding in silence, dominating overseas, surviving the G League grind, waiting years for one real chance to prove they belong. Watching someone drift through rotations without earning them feels like a slap in the face to what the league claims to stand for. And that frustration only deepens when coaching decisions seem to double down on the illusion. A raw prospect is given freedoms that veterans would never get. Mistakes that would instantly bench others are waved off without hesitation.
I deal with unrivaled guys. I can't do it. I did watch a couple games just to see if it improved from last year, which I suffered through because I just watched it because a lot of people don't know how to watch Unrivaled. So I went on lives. I even aired it. And I don't know how I did it, man, because it was just boring and too many clanks and air balls. Well, the clank and air balls are back again. I think it's exactly like last year, just new faces. And
There's no real leash, no sharp accountability, just nonstop encouragement dressed up as growth. Defensive breakdowns get brushed aside as learning moments. Missed shots turn into confidence issues. Passive stretches are explained away as development phases. And suddenly, possessions turn into personal experiments where reads are ignored and shots are forced. That doesn't look like confidence, it looks like confusion with permission. Broadcasts try to smooth it over, turnovers become teaching moments, missed jumpers get framed as courage, but the gap between the storyline and the reality on the court is impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, players without a safety net watch from the bench knowing their margin for error is basically zero. One bad stretch can end everything for them. No patient speeches, no narrative protection, no reminders that growth takes time. They either produce immediately or they disappear. That imbalance is what turns curiosity into resentment. It's what makes even seasoned basketball minds stop and ask what they're really watching.
On the internet, from Bronny James, right? Now, as you guys know, we did a show about Bronny James being sent back to the G League, right? And we did a show about that. Most people that watched that show agreed that that was the correct thing for the Lakers to do, right? That Bronny wasn't good enough to be on the...
The presence of LeBron James changes everything, and pretending otherwise is just dishonest. Opposing teams don't treat those minutes as dangerous. They treat them as neutral. And in the NBA, neutral minutes are a luxury most players never get. The experiment keeps rolling because nobody wants to be the one who pops the illusion. Watching Bronny play sometimes feels like seeing a trust fund intern dropped into a high-stakes corporate negotiation. There's effort, enthusiasm, and a real desire to learn, but the skill gap is loud. Those traits sound great in interviews and locker room quotes. Coaches love them. Media eats them up. But professional basketball does not reward good intentions. It rewards impact, real impact, against players whose livelihoods depend on every single possession. And that gap, it's getting harder to hide by the night. Even games where his presence barely registers turn into full-blown discussion pieces. 2 missed shots suddenly become a philosophical debate about opportunity and patience. Entire segments get devoted to explaining why a quiet night was actually encouraging. At some point, it stops feeling like analysis and starts looking like performance art.
To me, it tells you everything. The kid is just, he's done. Like, I don't think he's mentally there anymore. It's tough because there's a lot of pressure on him. And he's been put in this situation. I think he wanted it, but didn't know what to expect, and he was unfairly.
Everyone agrees to suspend disbelief because admitting the obvious would ruin the show. But the real issue isn't potential anymore. It's opportunity, minutes, integrity. Every possession treated as a developmental rep is one taken from someone else who actually earned it. Every forced attempt without consequences is a reminder that the rules are not the same for everyone, and that reality slowly chips away at the league's credibility, especially when the NBA keeps insisting it's a pure meritocracy. You can't have ruthless standards in theory and flexible rules in practice forever. Eventually, that contradiction collapses under its own weight. The league keeps saying, this is about patience and growth. But patience has limits, especially at this level. When routine plays get celebrated like milestones, it exposes just how low the bar has been set.
The bench played 36 minutes. I think he came off the bench. I don't remember the starting lineup. I didn't catch the game in the beginning. He had 15 points. Nick Smith Jr. had 7 points. Jackson Hayes had 2 points. But the only Laker that played to go scoreless was Bronny James. And not only did Bronny go scoreless in the 5 minutes he played, he still somehow found a way.
The standards that once defined the NBA suddenly feel negotiable when a famous last name enters the equation. And that's the uncomfortable truth. Bronny James exists less as a traditional player right now and more as a traveling storyline. A moving narrative, a living footnote attached to someone else's greatness. And that's not fair to him, or to the league pretending nothing strange is happening. Playing alongside your father is undeniably historic, but history doesn't win games. Chemistry suffers when roles are blurry and expectations get twisted. Fan patience evaporates when people feel pushed to applaud mediocrity and call it progress. And here's the uncomfortable truth hanging over everything. When LeBron eventually steps away, the protection walks out with him. At that point, the conversation won't be about development or patience anymore. It'll be about one thing only: belonging. That's why so many fans want this experiment to end. Not out of cruelty, not out of jealousy, but out of respect for the game itself. They see someone absorbing resources others would sacrifice everything for. They see a system bending itself into knots just to protect a storyline. Basketball, at its core, is supposed to be honest. And that's why the question keeps getting louder with every game played. How long can reality be stretched before it snaps back hard? Watching coverage frame this as success feels absurd, like polishing a cracked mirror and insisting the reflection is perfect. Bronny cannot consistently shoot, cannot reliably finish, cannot collapse defenses, cannot orchestrate an offense. Those aren't hot takes, they're observable facts. What he does have is insulation, narrative protection, and a father powerful enough to keep the spotlight locked in place regardless of results. That mix is entertaining, surreal, and deeply frustrating. But it isn't basketball. Playing with your father doesn't make you a professional athlete. Legacy is not a substitute for production. And this conversation matters because systems only change when people stop pretending everything is fine. The Lakers now face a real choice. recommit fully to winning, or fully embrace the spectacle. Because trying to live in both worlds at once is exactly how credibility disappears. This story isn't over, not even close. And the longer it drags on, the louder the questions will get.